Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. I'm here with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman is here with you on Wednesdays, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We normally go about an hour, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Kind of depends how we're feeling, what's going on, the news that's breaking, the questions that come in, all that kind of good stuff. But we're here with you every day, Monday through Friday. We're also here with you Monday through Friday on the Elite Sports Game Time Show. Myself and Justin Fensterman, 8 to 10 Eastern each night on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We cover the live action. So at this point in time, it's basically, we mentioned hockey a tiny bit. We cover basketball for about 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how the night's going. The rest of the night's baseball. So for those of you that are here for baseball, as a lot of you are, check us out Monday through Friday on Elite Sports Game Time, 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM. Jeff Mann's show, the Elite Sports Show, is on from 3 to 6 Eastern Monday through Friday. So we're here at 12. Jeff 3 to 6, Justin and I 8 to 10 to carry you throughout the day. I'm also with Jeff on that show on Wednesdays. So yes, I do 10 shows a week. I stay busy. Hopefully you're enjoying all of that. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all of those places. You can find me at the Ray Flowers. You can also find me in the Discord rooms answering dynasty football questions, regular football questions, DFS questions, wagering questions, obviously seasonal baseball questions, all of that over at FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner and get signed up. I'll come back to that. We got a big deal that I want to mention to you in a second. But before I get to that, I want to tell everybody about the ways to watch the show. You're probably aware of it by now, but if not, tell a friend, spread the word. This is a free show. We'd love it if you'd come join us and become part of the Elite Mafia, which is the largest active fantasy community in fantasy sports. Click that subscribe tab, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. You can watch the show live on YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter X at FantasyGuruSite. Any of those three places, you can watch it live. You can leave comments and questions throughout the show that we will address here on the show. You can also go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find all of the shows on the Elite Plus network, including this one. And then finally, you can type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network and take us on the go. Spotify, Pandora, Apple iTunes, Google Music, all those places you'll be able to find Fantasy Sports Daily. I mentioned the deal. Let's get to it before we dive in. By the way, we'll talk about baseball for about 25 minutes today, football for about the same. Marsal is going to visit with us. It's a Tuesday. But before we get to that, we got a big deal. And I say all the time, go to FG, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com, okay? But let's really dig into it here. Season's a month old for baseball. We understand that. Maybe you're having trouble in one of the three areas of baseball, seasonal, DFS, or wagering. Maybe you're only doing one of the three or two of the three areas, and you want to get involved in all three areas. Maybe you just thought to yourself, I'm going to do this without any help this year, and it's gone moderately well, but you want to do better. We can help you. You can sign up for any of the products right now at FantasyGuru.com, seasonal, DFS, or wagering for baseball. Sign up for any of them on their own, or you can sign up for all three of them together. So we have a new deal. Let's announce it here on the show. I think Jeff Mann's actually announced it on the Elite Sports Show yesterday on SiriusXM. But there it is. You can see it on the screen. You get MLB seasonal, MLB DFS, and MLB wagering, all three of them, for the rest of the season for $79.99. Boom, done. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. That's it. So every Discord room, you get all access to all three Discord rooms. You can ask any seasonal question you want, any DFS question you want, any betting question you want. You get all of my work in all the three areas, which is almost every day throughout the week. I'm doing that Monday through Friday. You get all the staff's work, every article written, every podcast we do, every live stream we do, if we do any of those, the Discord rooms, the chat rooms. You can run all your thoughts and questions and queries by people. The great staff over there to help you out and become part of the Elite Mafia. So for $79.99, the rest of the way, all three areas of baseball, everything we do for baseball covered for one low price of $79.99. If you already have seasonal, if you already have DFS, if you already have wagering, you want to add the other two, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Say, hey, I saw this great deal on the morning show. I'd love to expand what I've got. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. I'm sure Ted Schuster can work it out for you. But join the Elite Mafia more full-time. Don't just be part of us in one of the areas. Get involved with all three of the areas. A huge discount for you there at FG. Okay. What are we talking about today? Here it is. More injuries, some good, some bad. We'll go through the list. Some pitching performances, some good, some bad. We'll talk to Armando Marsal in about 25 minutes. Kind of go lay of the land with him. What's kind of some of the big percolating stories in the NFL right now. Tomorrow we'll visit with Tyler Beaker at about 12:30 Eastern. Friday will be Russell Clay at about 12:30 Eastern. Tomorrow we'll talk rookie wide receivers with Tyler, and then Friday, we'll talk rookie running tight ends. Get it straight, right? Rookie tight ends with Russell Clay. I've got that thing in my throat still, and I'm worried about it coming out. So I'm thinking about it in the back of my head as I'm talking. So I apologize. Wednesday today is. Let me get this started all over again. Today, Armando Marsal. There you can see it on the screen. Wednesday, it's Justin Fensman and Armando talking basketball. Thursday, it's Tyler Beaker and me. We'll be talking rookie wide receivers. And then Friday, Russell Clay will be talking rookie tight ends. That's the right thing to say, even though it took me a minute and a half to say it. So there it is for the next couple of days. So let's dive right in here. Let me change that up. There we go. I don't know. Do you like my face bigger or smaller? I guess bigger. I don't know. Maybe I should leave my face small. Who knows? Ronald Acuna. We heard he was going to need a follow-up visit from the doctor before he could really get going here. And it's like, oh, man, just get going. Well, now we're hearing he's not going to require a follow-up exam, and he's just going to get going before he starts that minor league rehab assignment. No one is saying he's had a setback, but it's been disappointing. There were a lot of hopes, and in a lot of areas, including this one, that thought Acuna would be back on the field by now. And he's not even in minor league rehab games yet. So, again, this is the comeback from an injury, all this kind of stuff. They're being very measured with his return. The expectation is that he will return at some point in May, but obviously it's not the first week of May like we were hoping. It's going to be toward the end of May, I would have to think. Good news is we haven't heard a setback. And it's very likely that he comes out blazing. But, when you draft a guy in the third, fourth round, and you're expecting him to miss 30 games, he ends up missing 50 games. Yeah, so let's hope he comes out blazing. But good news, he's progressing. It's just a little bit slower than we had anticipated. Now, a player going the other direction is Yordan Alvarez. I've got Yordan Alvarez on my Dynasty League team. We talk about him here on the show all the time. He's a fantastic offensive performer. He's struggled this year with some health issues. He struggled this year with performance issues as well. And now we hear that he's been placed on the injury list. This happened yesterday with his hand and the inflammation he's dealing with. They said this was no big deal, and then he got placed on the injury list. And this is often how it goes. So it's not abnormal to see things progress this way. But this is disappointing. Over the weekend, the team kind of soft played this and said, no big deal. And then here comes the injury list. 10 days is not a long time. And it's very possible from what we're hearing still that Yordan Alvarez could be back in 10 days. Let's hope that's true. They're running further tests, I guess. I don't know. Alvarez is a really frustrating player, and he's not to the level of the Mike Trouts of the world. But it's starting to get a little annoying, right? He's 20. Is he 27? I don't even think is that even right? He may not be 27. Let me look that up. I think he's 27 years old. And it's like, yeah, he is 27 years old. It's like, come on, man. He's only played 140 games, 1 of 3 years. It's like, come on. Numbers are great. He's hit 30 home runs with 86 RBIs 4 consecutive years. The numbers are really good. And he's also a 295 career hitter. But the fact he misses 20, 30 games, so we'll hope that this is a minor issue. Again, he did not perform well. Maybe this is a little bit of a reset, too, for him. But it's been a rough start to the season for Yordan Alvarez. By the way, Rugby 17s, they're saying, sweep, sweep, sweep. We did have a sweep last night in our wagering for basketball. Justin Fensterman went 3-1, so he went 3-4 with his bets. I went 3-0 with my bets. So we're at about a 75% clip, actually, in the month of May. So we're off to a good start in the month of May. Again, sign up over at FG, get the package all in one. You get including the seasonal baseball, the DFS baseball, and the wagering baseball for all of one price, $79 for everything for the rest of the way. Support at fantasyguru.com. You see that on the screen. Sweep. It's always good when it happens, too. Makes you feel good. We had a base hit for the total base prop for Neil Cruz in the 9th inning. Way to go, Neil. All right, back to the news of the day. Let's get back to it with Zack Gelof. Oh, boy. Hugely disappointment. Gelof was the guy that was going to go 2020 this year. He then hurt his hand, and that basically ruined those thoughts because we knew he was going to miss 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. Coming back, he's back in game action, getting ready to go. Now he has a stress reaction in his ribs, totally different than his hand injury, of course. He's been shut down right now. There is no timetable for his return. I'm completely guessing here, but while the hamate bone fracture should not be a thing, it shouldn't be a thing right now. Like, he should be healed from that because he had the surgery in March, if I'm not mistaken. The stress reaction, I mean, he could be out till July. So we don't have anything. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's back in June. But right now, it's not looking good. And this, we're starting to end up in one of those scenarios where when it's one injury and then it's a second injury, and it's like you start getting that vibe, oh man, the season's in danger, right? Not that he's not going to play this year, but like, oh gosh. So if you've been holding on to Gelof, you've got injured list spots, and he's on the IL, totally fine. If you hold him on your bench, like we, again, don't have a definitive. This could, in theory, be a 10-day setback. Could also be a month setback. So not good news with Gelof. We'll see. And again, really disappointing because I was hoping that he'd have a nice season for us this year. Batting average concern, sure. But have a nice season for us. It's just not happening. A guy that was terrific in the minors, then terrific in the regular season, then terrific in the playoffs in 2023, and then absolutely horrible in 2024 around injury, was Evan Carter of the Rangers. Evan Carter then comes into camp. He's feeling good. All the good positive vibes we're going to throw out last year, right? He's going to be in that lineup. He's going to hit in the number 2 hole, maybe the leadoff spot for the Rangers. Let's see how it goes. And then he has a horrible spring, and he's demoted and crapola. Well, they're making some changes here with the Rangers. They just demoted Jake Berger. We talked about that last week and on Monday with Brett Krim, the Krim News. We talked about that yesterday. They released Leody Taveras, and they're promoting Evan Carter today. Now, Evan Carter's hitting 220 in the minors right now, which does have a 333 on base percentage, and that's always been his thing, right? He can get on base. And when we talk about it all the time, right, if you have that 100-point gap between your batting average and your on base percentage, that's really intriguing from an offensive perspective, and that's how Carter is doing it. And he basically was doing that prior to last season, too, even in the big leagues with the Rangers. It's hard to tell. I added him in one league. I think I talked about it yesterday here on the show when we were going through the FAB in like my 14 or 15 team mixed league. He also wrote about him yesterday over at fantasyguru.com. So he was in the Rays Ramblings piece. I'm a fan of this kid's skill set. And with the opportunity that seems likely to arise here, I'm really interested in adding him. Now, if you're in a 10-team league, I'm not doing it. If you're in a 12-team league, if there's a keeper component, maybe. If there's not a keeper component, it's tough because it's not clear he's going to be in the lineup every day. It's not clear where his performance level is at right now. And then, of course, you have to make the determination of who you're dropping in order to add Carter. I will say this. He's not an immediate add in all leagues, but he's a very intriguing addition. And again, in my leagues where we start 5 outfielders, we have 30 roster spots, 14, 15 teams. He's an add in those kind of scenarios. So if you're in a deeper league like that, I think Evan Carter's a button you click. In one of my leagues, I believe it was the FSG league, I dropped Zack and picked up Evan Carter. I kind of got that one spot that I'm rolling through the youngsters. Veen to Carter was the move I made. Now, those of you that had Veen, you probably dropped him when he was demoted, so it speaks to the depth of the league here. But I'm a big fan of Evan Carter. Wouldn't be crazy to see him have a strong season the rest of the way here. Again, not performing terrifically at the minor league level, getting on base every game, doing that kind of okay. Let's see if I really need to see where his back is at, because they said that he got a new training regimen because his back, and I've talked about my back issue for a long time. Your back issues don't go away, and he's a young guy with a back issue. So we'll see, but I'm willing to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt even after the down season he had last year. Now, Teoscar Hernandez last night left the game with a hamstring injury for the Dodgers. He's going to undergo an MRI today, and hold your breath time. We know how this goes. In most instances, when you get sent for an MRI on your hamstring, in most instances, you end up on the injured list. Not always. It's not a universal. Cole Ragans, who we'll talk about here in a few minutes, he missed a start with a groin injury, and he was okay for his next time out. Now, that's not a hamstring, but still, So we'll see with Hernandez, but I think it's fair to suggest that he's going to the injured list, Teoscar Hernandez. So what does this team do? Because remember, they already were without Tommy Edman. We're probably going to get Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor, the 2 veterans that are really boring from a fantasy perspective and a real-world perspective. 2 veterans that can step into the lineup for the Dodgers and give a good at bat and all that kind of stuff. That'll probably be the direction they go. You could consider James Outman, who's got an 830 OPS down on the farm. They could consider calling him up. I don't think that Hernandez or Taylor are appreciably better offensive weapons than him at this point of their careers. There's also Ruiz, who I don't think gets the call. But Ruiz has got 15 steals in 22 games. We know exactly who he is. He's a very intriguing fantasy piece, even if his bat's very weak because of the ability to steal bases. So we'll watch this storyline here. If Ruiz is up and he's batting ninth every day for the Dodgers for the next 2 weeks, might be worth grabbing, right? Maybe get 3, 4, 5 steals out of him. If they call up Outman, if they go with Hernandez and Taylor, So we'll follow this storyline as it evolves. But Dodgers, again, not worried about stuff right now. They are a little bit concerned, though, with the hamstring injury with Teoscar Hernandez. One of the biggest storylines last night, one that we were following last night on Game Time, again, that's 8 to 10 Eastern on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. 8A Smith-Shawver took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. He ended up with 8 shutout innings against the Reds. The Reds are not hitting very well. So attacking the Reds right now with pitching, Chris Sale today, not a bad idea. Shawver walked 4 guys. I think he walked 4 guys in 4 innings, if I remember correctly. Ended up with only 4 walks on the night. So he really locked in. And again, had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning. So the excitement is, let's go grab him because he's facing the Pirates next. And I'm not going to say that that's the worst thing in the world to do. And in fact, I think using him against the Pirates is okay. But as we discussed here on the show, we might have even talked about Shawver yesterday, I think. He's kind of been disappointing to date in his big league career. And again, we're not talking a lot of work. We're talking 56 innings, but it's over 3 years. He has not established himself at all in any form with the Braves. He's dealt with some injuries. He's walking 11% of the batters. He got 11% walk rate here to start his big league career. That's a really bad number. He's got a 21% strikeout rate. That's below league average. So neither one of those numbers, pops out at all. He's been very fortunate with an 85% left on base percentage. He's not Clayton Kershaw. So, that 3.34 ERA probably should be, instead of 3.34, should be 4.34, if not worse. In fact, his Sierra is 4.22. Allows a lot of fly balls, 48% fly ball rate. So he's going to be so home run prone if that's the case. He's really a league average guy. And I think that is ultimately where he's going to settle in. Now, the question is, does he settle in at that spot now? Great effort yesterday. There'll be a lot of excitement to add him off the waiver wire. Again, a solid matchup with the Pirates next time out. But I'm still not seeing a lot that makes me think that there's been a corner turned here, or that he's a guy you got to get or someone to get excited about. I mean, again, it's only been a handful of outings this season, but I mean, look at this: 12% barrel rate, 46% hard hit rate. His expected ERA is 5.3. So I'd be very cautious with him despite that strong effort last night. Hey, Harvey, or Henry. Sorry, Harvey. Say, hey, Henry. I was thinking, was it Harvey? Isn't that the movie with James Stewart with the big, Harvey was the big, sorry, my phone's going. Rabbit? That's it, Harvey, right? Hey, Henry. Sorry about that. Let's go on. Tobias Meyers, who I have in one of my deeper leagues. Thank you to the bullpen for bailing him out. He left with some runners on base last night. 5 1/3 innings to get a victory yesterday over the Astros. He allowed 1 run. He only had 2 strikeouts, but he didn't walk anybody. And Meyers is who Shawver really wants to become. Meyers is not a dominant force. He's not someone that overwhelms anybody, but he's very in touch with his repertoire. He's good at throwing strikes. He's good at missing the barrel of the bat, and he's effective. He's not exciting or somebody that, you can look at and think, Meyers is somebody we're going to roll out here 25 times in the 12-team league, and he's never going to have a blow up. He's going to lead me to a championship. He's not that guy at all. Is he somebody that should be usable on a consistent basis? Yes. He faces the Rays next time out. But he's good at pitching. And there's not a lot of guys anymore that are good at pitching. Most guys anymore are stuff, right? I throw 98. Rah. Meyers is kind of a little bit of a throwback. He's more of a pitcher. And it's a really nice compliment. Like when he's going, and then let's say he's going right next to Freddy Peralta or Brandon Woodruff when he comes back from his injury, like that's a significant change in style. Like everyone's gearing up for 97, slider fastball from Peralta, and here comes Meyers, 91, right? So that's important too, right? You don't want to have your whole staff be righties, your whole staff be lefties. You don't have everyone be power guys, or everyone be ground ball guys. So Meyers kind of fits in. He's not a player that anyone should be, again, running to the waiver wire to add. But hey, he should be on your watch list. And in my leagues that are deeper, if your leagues are deeper, he's not a bad guy to be rolling out there on a fairly consistent basis. Now, speaking of Freddy Peralta's got a groin injury. Sounds like before his next start, he's going to need an extra day or two. Now, this is not bad news. It's not good news. It's not bad news. He left after 6 innings over the weekend against the Cubs because his groin was a little sore. They think they caught this in time. They don't think it's a big deal. Again, it sounds like they're not even planning to do MRIs or any further testing. So hopefully this will hold. Hopefully Peralta will only skip a couple of days and they'll throw him out there. I guess a worst case scenario as we sit here right now is him skipping a start. Now, again, this information could change in the next hour and a half, so we know how that goes. But right now, it doesn't seem to be a lot of concern with Peralta, but you might have to readjust your expectations in terms of matchups this week. So he's probably going to get a couple extra days before his next outing. MacKenzie Gore is dealing with ankle soreness. Now, I wrote about MacKenzie Gore yesterday in the Ramblings piece over at FG. Do you know who leads baseball in strikeout rate right now? Yeah, MacKenzie Gore. You know who was in the breakout pitcher of the year article? And I didn't choose him at the end because I thought it was kind of cheating because he kind of broke out last year, but still, you know who's a finalist for that award this year? MacKenzie Gore. He's been great. Now, he did tweak his ankle a little bit. On Sunday, the weather wasn't great, and the field was kind of muddy and all that against the Reds. So he had 9 strikeouts and gave up 1 run over 5 innings. So it wasn't like it really impacted his work. Just something to keep an eye on with Gore. He's been fantastic to date. We talk about these things all the time, minor injury issues, all that kind of stuff. They're generally not a big deal. But when you're a pitcher, any little thing, his ankle's sore. When he just lands wrong or pushes off the rubber a little bit and tweaks it, and then they have to worry about his arm angle and release points. And so to date, he's been fantastic. He's set to pitch Saturday against the Cardinals at this point of the week. And I know multiple people asked me about should they start Gore this week against the Cardinals. At this point of the week, it sure looks like he's going to make that start. We'll have to follow this. Again, maybe today he wakes up and the ankle's a little bit more stiff and they want to back him off an outing or something like that. But right now, we're not hearing negativity other than to mention that he's just got an ankle that's a little sore, but it sounds like he's going to be able to pitch to it. Landen Roupp with the Giants, 4 runs, 2 earned over 5 innings, and a loss to the Cubs on Monday. Now, Hayden Birdsong's in the bullpen. He's killing it. Kyle Harrison's been called up by the Giants. He's going to be a long reliever. So Roupp is in this rotation, and it seems like the Giants have options that they could turn to if they wanted to make a change. Why aren't they making a change? Well, let's dive into what Roupp has done thus far. His numbers are not good, okay? His ERA is 4.9 and his WHIP is 1.5. These are really bad numbers. I've seen a couple people in Discord say, he's a huge disappointment. Performance-wise, he has been a disappointment, but he's got a 25% strikeout rate, better than league average. It's got a 9% walk rate, just above the league average. Not a terrible number, but just above the league average. 354 batting average of balls in play. The odds are strongly in his favor that number will regress. 66% left on base percentage. The odds are strongly in his favor that number will regress in a positive sense. If you look at the batted ball data with him, 86 mile an hour exit velocity, that's really low. That is really, really low. 6% barrel rate, very low. 27% hard hit rate, very low. The batted ball data with Roupp says nothing is going on for the batters. Yet they still have 354 batting average of balls in play. That just doesn't work. That just doesn't make any sense. You look at his ground ball to fly ball ratio, 1.3%. A solid number there. 35% fly ball rate, it's very league average. So at the end of the day, we have a guy who's pitching much better than the ratios appear. The SIERA is 3.7, his xFIP is 3.5, his expected ERA is 3.4. If he had a 3.4 or 5, let's say he had a 3.8 ERA and his WHIP was 1.28, now we've got a streaming option. That's really who he's pitched like to this point. Again, the results have not been there. And if you're in a shallow league, until he starts performing, we're not interested. But if you're in a deeper league, and he's on the waiver wire, I don't think the Giants are inclined at the moment to change the rotation up. And as we're talking about here with Roupp, he's actually pitched much better than it appears. So he's not a terrible option to take a chance on. Set to face the Twins on Sunday. We'll see if that's the start of his turnaround. Now, Cole Ragans, who we talked about, skipped the start because of his groin issue. Faced the White Sox yesterday and should have had success, and he did. 5 shutout innings, 11 strikeouts. There you go. This is really good. Now, again, we can't take too much away from the outing. It's the White Sox, and they suck. And Ragans should have done what he did last night. Should have had success against them. But it was great to see him back out there. because there was the concern about his groin. He threw 90-something pitches, I think, and so they didn't push him by any means, but very effective against an overmatched opponent. Next time out, he faces the Red Sox, and that's the real test, right? Because the Red Sox you couldn't, other than having Sox in both of their names, you couldn't be more different, right? So that'll be the big challenge for Ragans. But the great news, the groin did not seem to be an issue whatsoever with him last night. Take a sigh of relief, a breath. You only missed the one start. Everything seems to be okay. You never know, but everything seems to be okay with him. An update on Corbin Burns. And the plot thickens. Corbin Burns threw from the background on Monday as he deals with that shoulder issue of his. So now it sounds like he's in line to make his next start. This is really good news because remember, Corbin Burns is going to go on the injured list maybe, and they're concerned about the shoulder and he's going to miss some time. Now he's maybe throwing this weekend. Now, if he throws this weekend, I don't know if it's really good news because he would be against the Dodgers. So maybe Corbin skip a start. But really good news here with Corbin Burns. The belief is, again, that he does not have a significant injury with the shoulder, that the shoulder is not going to result in a situation where he's going to have to end up on the injury list even at this point, and even for like 2 weeks. So all signs say let's go. Great news again. We'll hope that that's what we see. And in fact, today's mostly positive news for once. Mostly positive news with the pitching staff. Before we talk some football with Armando Marsal, remember, folks, you see it there on the screen. Let me see if I can fix this up. Where are we at? It would help if I knew how to use my screen. How do I get rid of the little guy up there? We go. There it is. All right, there it is. The MLB package is available right now at a discounted rate. We talked about it earlier in the show. If you missed it, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can get signed up. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com if you see something that you want to do. You want to do something you don't see. If you have a question about something, if you want to package a deal together and create kind of a la carte menu yourself, send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. You can also send a note to support@fantasyguru.com right now for the rest of the season. The entire baseball package we have at FG, $79.99. All of it. All the seasonal coverage, all the DFS coverage, all the wagering coverage, $79.99. That's access to me and the entire staff, the entire Elite Mafia you can talk to, become part of the largest active community in fantasy sports, get all the articles, the Discord room, the discussions, all of that over at FG. And sign up, we're having fun. And it's a really good group of people over there, not just the staff, but the users as well. So check it out, fantasyguru.com. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com and say, I want the all-in-one baseball package that is discounted for the rest of the season in 2025. Okay, that's the baseball talk. We'll return to the baseball talk tomorrow. We'll be on, Justin Fensterman will be here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll be with Jeff Mans tomorrow. Our next guest, who comes every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, he's also on Wednesdays with Justin Fensterman. He's a busy guy, and I think he'll be on tonight. We'll ask him about it, but I think he'll be on the live stream tonight. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe he'll be covering basketball. We'll ask him. Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Armando?
I'm doing good, Ray. How about yourself?
We're doing okay. Yeah, we're doing all right here today. No technological issues today for once, so that's good. Will you be on the 7 o'clock live stream tonight with football, or are you doing basketball tonight?
No, not tonight. I'm actually going to be going to the Marlins game. So no live stream today. I actually just got off recording the podcast with the Mind of Marsal podcast. So that'll be up later today. Get ready. 2 a week now, starting this week, 2 a week. I'm going to be doing team previews. Tyler Beaker joined me today. We're going to be doing team previews. We did the AFC East today, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, no live stream tonight. I'll be obviously on here with you today. Might be dabbling in the Discord. Why not? Hop in there while I'm at the Marlins game. Why not?
Why not? What the hell?
Yeah.
Tyler Beaker at fantasyguru.com is who he's talking about. He'll be with us on Thursday. Russell Clay will be with us on Friday. Today is Armando. People can go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find this show and to find Mind of Marsal, Armando's show. You mentioned you're going to be doing 2 a week. Are they going to be on the same day every week, or are they just going to randomly drop? People got to keep an eye out for it.
Monday, Fridays is the goal right now. We were supposed to record yesterday, but weather Tyler had some weather issues. His power kept coming on and off yesterday, so we pushed it today. But every Monday, every Friday, moving forward, you should find the Mind of Marsal podcast. We're going to be doing, again, team previews. We're going to do division by division. So we're trying to get a really in-depth analysis of each team for each division. So we're breaking it down with, one division per podcast. That way we can give our best breakdown of each team.
Again, go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find so many tabs. Elite Plus tab at the top of the page for this show and mine to Marsal, Armando show. All right, Armando, let's talk some baseball. Football here.
Well, baseball, I strongly recommend it. Jump on that package. I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. I won my fantasy baseball league last season with your content. I asked you, I reached out to you. Great stuff. You're constantly putting up articles. You update rankings. There's so much. You're in Discord. All of that stuff. Strongly recommend it. And like you said, it's all for a very cheap price for the rest of the season. So take advantage of that. Take advantage before they change their minds.
Right? Exactly.
Right?
Jeff Mann
before
says
bosses change their minds.
Yeah, we just say it and do it, and then until they tell us to stop doing it. So there's never a date. We never say it's 10 days because sometimes it's 7. Sometimes
you never know.
You never know.
Check
it out over at fantasyguru.com. So football talk with you, Armando. Let's dive in here. There's the running debate over who's going to be the quarterback for the Colts. Is it going to be Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? Is it going to be both guys? We did get a report that Michael Pittman has been working out with Daniel Jones. Should we read something into that? What do you think?
I think that it's going to be Anthony Richardson. Like my stance on this has remained the same since this all started. Like I think it's going to be Anthony Richardson. Does that mean that I believe Anthony Richardson will be the starter for every single game this upcoming season? No. I think that they're going to give Richardson the opportunity to once again try to prove himself. If he continues to struggle with his accuracy, if he continues to struggle throwing the football, I think we could see a change at the quarterback position, right? I think that Jones will be that guy. If Richardson were to miss any time due to injuries, it's been something we've seen in the past with him where he's had to miss time because of injuries. Daniel Jones will get opportunities. I do expect Jones to eventually get some opportunities and at some point maybe overtake the starting gig for the Colts. But at this time, I do think Richardson is going to be that guy. I like the fact that Jones is working out with Pittman. I like the fact that he's getting, I guess acquainted with his receivers and building that chemistry and all this stuff, because I think eventually it's going to come into fruition where Jones is going to be that guy and Pittman's going to be catching passes from him, right? I do think from a fantasy standpoint, it benefits Pittman with Jones under center over Richardson. So, am I drafting Daniel Jones in a single quarterback league? No. Do I think he's going to be the week 1 starter? No. Do I think he'll play this season? Yes. At some point, I do think he'll play.
Oh, by the way, I guess Anthony Richardson's rehabbing his injuries, so he's not available to do this. I know that if you're Pittman, he wants Daniel Jones to be the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to say that, but that's what he wants. The Rams have a quarterback, and this whole thing with Matthew Stafford is really fascinating to me. He's going to retire. He's not going to retire. He wants to be traded. He doesn't want to be traded. His wife wants him to retire. His wife doesn't want him to retire. His wife wants him to be traded. His wife doesn't want him. I don't know what's going on. But I do know that the Rams are bringing him back one more year. They just gave him a contract extension for like $44 million. Where are we at with him this year? Because they added Devontae Adams. I mean, they lost Cooper Kupp, okay. But they added Devontae Adams, and I think you can make the case at this point of their careers. Obviously, you'd rather have Adams than Kupp. So you got Puka, you got Adams, you've got Kyron Williams. Like, again, this looks like an offense that's going to kind of cook. Is Stafford a potential QB1? Is he an ideal quarterback 2? How do you see it?
So I view him as a high-end quarterback 2 going into the season. I feel like you're looking at QB 14, 15, 16, like that kind of range. With Stafford, you mentioned the supporting cast here is very good. You got Nakua, an ascending young receiver. Kyron Williams, who can give you a little bit of everything out of that backfield. He's both a pass catcher, can run in between the tackles, very explosive. And then you add Adams, right? Yes, is he past his prime? I think so. But is he still a very good NFL receiver? Absolutely. Is he still a weapon in the red zone? Absolutely. Is he still a very good route runner? I think so, right? So you're in my opinion, you're not losing anything. And now you're getting an actual outside receiver, because I feel like Kupp and Nakua were kind of the same guy. Now you actually get yourself an outside receiver, someone that is going to be able to make plays on the outside with Nakua working primarily out of the slot. I like this. We've talked about the addition, so I like this for Stafford. I like the supporting cast here. I still think he has, a little bit of juice left in the tank. I don't want to say he's in his prime by any means. He's obviously past his prime, But I do think from a fantasy standpoint, you could view him as a solid QB2, someone in super flex, leagues you can count on, someone in 2 quarterback leagues you can count on. Even if you miss, so I just talked a little bit about this on the podcast, but even if you miss on one of those elite quarterbacks, he falls into that territory where I'm okay with him as my QB1 in a single quarterback setting. If I miss out on the guys I wanted, like I'm okay with someone like Stafford as my QB1. I do understand that there's going to be some possible concerns like with the durability given, his history and his age and all that stuff. But so long as he's healthy, I think he would be able to produce as a high-end QB2.
Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. I always find it interesting, Armando, when a team spends a lot of draft capital on a player and then finds a way not to use the player. And then we hit the offseason, they say, we're going to use the player. And it's like, Marvin Harrison is the guy I'm talking about. We saw his head coach, Jonathan Gannick, say he's really excited to see where he's at heading into year 2. Well, Jonathan, probably the same place he was last year when you decided not to throw him the football every week. Where are we at with Marvin Harrison? I'm in a dynasty league. I've talked about a 12-team dynasty league, 45-man roster spots. I took Marvin Harrison in the second round of that league. I'm still hopeful that we get the breakout that we were all kind of hoping for last year. What are your thoughts on Marvin Harrison? Because this storyline is going to be one that people are going to talk about a lot. I feel like kind of now people are looking at Harrison, they're kind of like, eh. But as we get closer to draft season, I bet people are going to be more excited.
This is one of those situations where I feel like he was overdrafted last year and he was being drafted, too early. And I think now the expectation was too high, right, for him to start off his career. I'm still viewing him I view him as a wide receiver 2, right, like a mid-level wide receiver 2 in that 15 to 18 range for wide receivers. So I think that's where he's at. I'm okay with investing in him. He had a 22% target share last year, averaged 6.8 targets per game. It wasn't a ton, but he had a decent target share there. I expect the same, kind of workload. I expect more opportunities for him as well. I think that he's going to take a step forward. And I just think that sometimes we get caught up in these, situations where there was so much hype surrounding Marvin Harrison Jr. There was so much excitement regarding him. We go back to his dad was a great receiver in the NFL. So everyone automatically correlates that, he's going to be his dad as soon as he steps in the NFL. We forget that these are young players, right? There's going to be the learning curve. There's going to be, the setbacks. There's going to be growing pains. The level of the speed of the game at at college versus the NFL is very different. You talk about, the quarterback there, Kyler Murray's good, but is he great, right? Like, I feel like a lot of things played a role into why he didn't live up to expectations. Do I think he'll take a step forward in the second year? I do. Do I think he was being overdrafted last year, and that's why there's a lot of panic going into the season? I do. So I'm not overly concerned about Marvin Harrison. I still think the future's bright. And like I said, I'm viewing him as a mid-level wide receiver 2 going into the season. One that I do expect the team will utilize a little bit more and make sure that they're, placing more emphasis on getting him more involved early in the season.
Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com talking about one of last year's standout rookies. If you want to see who he considers this year's potential standout rookies, go to fantasyguru.com. Post-draft staff, NFL rookie rankings. He's one of 5 people in there. Jeff, Tyler, Armando, Russell, and Rich Mileto. They're all in there. So if you want to see positional top 10s for all the positions. Armando, let's move on from Marvin Harrison and let's talk about another receiver, one who has established himself at the NFL level, one who was on my Dynasty League team before we tore it all down, Drake Landen. And I think everywhere I've looked at, he's a top 10 wide receiver. In many places, he's a top 5 wide receiver heading into 2025. Do you agree with that? Michael Penix, did he show you enough? I mean, I know Kirk Cousins struggled last year, especially down the stretch, but to me, I can't put Michael Penix at this point of his development in the same bucket I would put Kirk Cousins. Are we too easily accepting, it's Drake Landen, he's going to get 107 catches this year with this young quarterback? Or do you think people have got it right given his ADP right now?
I think it's tough not to make a case for Landen to be a top 12 receiver in PPR settings when you're looking at rankings and where you're taking him. He showed us enough. The volume was there even towards the end of the season with Penix under center. Like the volume was there for Landen. He's going to continue, in my opinion, to see a significant, amount of targets. He had a 29% target share last year. Someone who, averaged what was in the 9.4 targets per game. Like, that's the kind of volume you're looking for. I'm expecting a similar volume from him. This was someone that out of college, I was pretty excited about. Just playing good football right now. He erupted that third year. I know it's not a thing anymore. Back when we first started doing fantasy, like that third year was when that receiver usually made that big leap. I know things are different in the NFL now, but we saw it last year with him, right? That third year, over 1,200 receiving yards, over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Just really had a career season. And I think he's going to continue to grow from here. I'm viewing him as a top 12 receiver. I don't see myself placing too much emphasis and I agree with you. I don't think you can compare Cousins to Penix at this time, but given how Cousins was playing last season, right, I don't think that you're taking too much away at the quarterback position by switching to Penix. Like, if Cousins was playing, before the injury occurred in Minnesota, and he was in that form, yeah, but given how he played last year, no, I'm not too concerned about the quarterback change. I think Penix is going to be able to get the ball to Drake London this upcoming season.
Armando, what about Zay Flowers? I don't think it's arguable. He is the number one wide receiver for the Ravens. The question is, is there anything else to be found here? Is this what Zay Flowers is? And if this is what he is, it's fine, right? But is there another level for him to take? Is there another step he could take? We got good news. He didn't need any surgery on his knee that he injured late in the season, so that's a positive. Can he have any growth in this offense with Lamar Jackson under center, or is this just it, and we have to get used to it with Zay Flowers?
I think he is who he is, right? Like, he's been a wide receiver 2 so far throughout his career. From a fantasy standpoint, right? Like a top 27, I think it was his first year, and then last year was top 24. So you're looking at that fringe wide receiver 2. I think that's what he is, right? And then you look at this offense, there's just so many pieces to this offense, and it's, he's not going to sit here and get 10, 11 targets per game. You still got, you got Andrews, Isaiah Likely. They added Hopkins. Like, you have Derrick Henry. You have a mobile quarterback. You have a lot of pieces and a lot of weapons in this offense. So it's very difficult to make a case for him to be even better. Can he finish better than wide receiver 24? Can he be can he kind of get into that top 12? I don't think so. But if he finishes wide receiver 16, 15, 17, would I be stunned? No, but that's still wide receiver 2 territory, right? So that's kind of where I view him. I don't think that entering year 3, we should be expecting an even better season out of Zay Flowers.
Marsal of FantasyGuru.com. For some reason, and I think I know the answer, but for some reason, I keep getting people asking me questions about Tank Dell in Discord over at FantasyGuru.com. People thinking they're getting some kind of deal. Tank Dell is 5'9", 165 pounds, and his knee was destroyed. And I keep telling people there's a legitimate chance that Tank Dell never plays in the NFL again. Like, that has to be considered. So, I'm only trading a 6th-round pick for him. You're trading a 6th-round pick for a guy who may never play another down in the NFL. We heard one of the reporters for the Houston Chronicle say that it's almost certain that he's going to miss the entirety of the upcoming season, Tank Dell. So 2025, that's part of it out, which I think is a very fair position to take. So the real question then becomes, what does this receiving core look like for the Texans? They obviously have Nico Collins, who's a star. They added Christian Kirk, who definitely seems like he's going to get some targets here. And then Jaden Higgins. What are we looking at with this group here? And is Stroud going to be able to look more like the rookie quarterback than the year 2 quarterback with this receiving group?
So there's more. Okay, so multiple questions here. So number one, with Tank Dell, if you're giving up a 6th-round rookie-only pick, sure. But understand that you might be burning that pick. Like you mentioned, there's a good chance their expectations are currently he doesn't play in 2025, right? Mm-hmm. And there's reports that suggest that this could be the end of the career for Tank Dell. And even if he does play, what is he going to be when he plays, right? Like, what kind of receiver is he going to be able to produce the numbers he was before the injury, right? Like, he's now battled multiple injuries throughout his career, right? And I'm not in the business of buying Tank Dell. I view him as, if you have him, you hold him, you see what happens, you see it through, given, you kind of know what his ceiling is, unless you're getting great, offers. And if you don't have him, you just never were invested in him. You don't have to worry about it. Now, if you want to give a 6, sure. It's a rookie-only draft. Like the hit rate on those 6th-round picks, fine, I get it. But again, you're investing in someone who might not play another down in the NFL. It's kind of like giving up a 6th pick for Andrew Luck, right? Like it just that hope is not there, guys. It's not there. Now to answer the question regarding the receivers, so obviously Nico Collins, someone that I've been particularly high on since he entered the NFL. Really, had a great season last year and kind of emerged as one of the top receivers there from a fantasy standpoint. I think that's here to stay. I think that's going to continue. He's just a big receiver who can make explosive plays, just make some incredible catches, just the perfect target for CJ Stroud. I think the addition of Christian Kirk is very big here. I think he's going to be their slot receiver here. I think he's going to be primarily working out of the slot. I think so long as he stays healthy, he'll carve out a decent role. We saw Stephon Diggs have a solid role here before the injury out of the slot, working there for Houston last year as their slot receiver. I think we can see a similar role for Christian Kirk. And then you mentioned Jalen Higgins. To me, that's he's a super interesting guy. And if you look at my rookie only rankings there, I have him ranked higher than a lot of the other guys. I think he's going to step into a solidified role. Right now, he's behind John Mechie in the depth charts. I think Higgins will be ahead of Mechie when the season starts. Would not be surprised if that happens. They exhausted the 2nd-round draft pick on him. I think that's high draft capital on a receiver. He has a nice size. I think he has a lot of the skill sets here to complement Nico Collins and work alongside Nico Collins, and then have that slot receiver in Christian Kirk. So I'm very optimistic here about this receiving group. I'm drafting Nico Collins at face value. He's someone that I view as a wide receiver 1, top 10 wide receiver for me, someone I'm okay taking as a top 10 receiver. When I look at Christian Kirk, you have to obviously monitor his health throughout the offseason and training camp and whatnot, make sure he's healthy. And then Higgins, man, I went back and I'm pulling up the rank. I have him number 2 in my rookie only rankings. And this is okay. So this is not taking IDP into consideration. I think Travis Hunter, when there's an IDP league, he has to be the number 1 wide receiver because he's going to accumulate points from those. But in just the regular PPR settings, Higgins is my number 2. I do have high expectations for this young man. I think he fits really well here with Houston. And then CJ Stroud, I'm going to say that he's going to go back to that rookie season form. I really do think he can go back to that rookie season form. He has a supporting cast to do so. He has a good run game, good pass catchers. The offensive line is a bit of a concern. I think that they've added some pieces here, but I still think it's a work in progress, and it is a bit of a concern for me. But I do think that CJ Stroud has the supporting cast offensively to get to that rookie season form.
With the Browns, Armando, we've spent all the time talking about the quarterback and Gabriel and Sanders. Talked about Judkins and Sampson in the backfield. We talked about the wide receiver core, and they added Deontay Johnson. They restructured the contract recently of Jerome Ford. So Jerome Ford's going to make this team. He's obviously the veteran running back. Pierre Strong, I guess, is around, but it's going to be Ford, Judkins, and Sampson. How do you see it playing out? Is this just Jerome Ford's a distant third? Do you think the restructuring of his contract means anything? It's not like they gave him a huge – he was set to earn $3.5 million. They dropped it to $1.5 guaranteed or $1.8 guaranteed. He's just a caddy. Is Judkins the guy that you want with a bullet, or do you have concerns about his early season usage here being significant?
So if I'm choosing a Browns running back, it's going to be Judkins. I think he would be the guy I want to invest in. Do I expect him to hit the ground running from week 1? No, I don't. I think that you could see some form of committee. I think you could even see the Browns get cute where, Judkins maybe early on in the season gets a lot of opportunities in one game, and then they go to Ford the following game. We've seen them do that in the past with their backfield. But when you look at it over the course of the season, I think it'll be Judkins who sees the majority of the opportunities. And even if that's a 60-40 split, that he would see the majority there. So I think he's going to be that guy. I'm viewing him as a RB3, like a flex option right now going into the season. I pulled up Jeff's rankings, and he has him in that RB26 range right now. So kind of in that same range, right? Like that RB3 / flex option, high-end RB3, low-end RB2 range. That's kind of where I'm going to view him. I do have concerns that he's not going to, get the majority of the workload early on in the season. Though I do think that there's going to be a committee to some extent there, at least the first couple of weeks of the season in Cleveland.
Marsal at fantasyguru.com. The Niners are really interesting because that's the place we go for a running back performance. Their offense is usually very effective, but there's a lot of questions. McCaffrey's not getting any younger. Kittle signed an extension, but he's in his 30s now. Brandon Ayuk's not going to be ready for week 1, so it's going to be Jennings and Pearsall early on. And then we got Brock Purdy, who's about ready from all reports to get a monster contract extension. Where are we at with Brock Purdy specifically? Is Brock Purdy a starting quarterback? Can you roll with him? Yeah. Is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he a top 15 quarterback? Do you have concerns? Because I think it's easy to look at Brock Purdy and go, 32 touchdowns, 4,600 yards. He can do that. But can he with this crew? I just don't know in the short term.
I agree with you, Ray. He's someone that I liked a lot more going into last season than I do this year. I view him as a QB2 going into this season, and I think that there's just a lot to overcome here, right? No Brandon Ayuk, like you mentioned, potentially the beginning of the season. Who knows when he's going to be 100%. We have to remember, even when these players return, it takes time for them to get going at least to that 100%. Sometimes it takes even a full season. You have to take that into consideration. No Deebo Samuel. Christian McCaffrey's injury concerns, George Kittle. I know he's been able to stay relatively healthy, but he's someone that plays hurt a lot of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned the offensive line. We have to think about these things as well. So I'm viewing him as a QB2, Ray. He's not someone that I would be okay with as my QB1 in a single quarterback league right now as things stand. I think there's just too many changes, too many things to overcome from a quarterback who I think has benefited right from the situation. And I think that's the big thing. I don't necessarily view Brock Purdy as a quarterback where he's going to make the rest of the team better. I feel like he benefits from having a good supporting cast, and he can get the job done. He's performed at a very high level in meaningful situations as well. So I'm not discrediting him. Big fan of Brock Purdy, but I think that he's benefited a lot from the supporting cast, and taking away some of these pieces I think could hurt his fantasy production here.
Is it fair to say that Brock Purdy's career arc puts him as the younger Kirk Cousins? Is that kind of the zone we're in if we're looking at, long-term in a keeper league scenario with Purdy?
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Okay.
I think you're looking at Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff-ish, kind of that range, right? Of quarterbacks where they have top 12 potential, but if you look at when they give you that top 12 potential, it was a very good situation, right? Jared Goff we can't deny Jared Goff being in a phenomenal situation. When Kirk Cousins had his big moments, Justin Jefferson, it's a good supporting cast. I feel like they're limited as far as what they can do to improve the offense, but can they run an offense that's really well orchestrated efficiently? They can, and we've seen it with all of these quarterbacks. If that makes sense. I'm sorry, if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah, totally fair. There's no wrong answer here, Armando. It's Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. Aaron Rodgers is the one we all talk about. J.K. Dobbins. There's still a few free agents out there. Are there any names that you're kind of interested in? Because you know how this can go, especially veteran players. They're not really a thing right now. An injury pops in camp. Oh, here comes so-and-so. A couple years ago, everyone thought Dalvin Cook was going to take over the backfield with the Cowboys. Are there any of the current free agents that are still out there that you are really interested in? You have any, we don't know where they're going to end up, but anyone that's popping from the group that has remained unsigned?
Well, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers. I think why he's interesting is because of depends on where he lands, right? I feel like you look at some of these teams, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career is going to turn any team into a championship caliber team. But I think from fantasy purposes, it can improve a lot of stock, right? And fantasy stock. So I'm looking at him, Amari Cooper, someone that I feel like he's interesting, Ray.
Amari Cooper, what happened?
Right? Exactly. I feel like you look at some of those receivers, Buffalo never. When you look at what Buffalo did last year and what they are about, I just don't know if it was ever the right fit, right? And I think that we tend to forget sometimes that it takes time to build chemistry, and then sometimes it's not always the right fit. We've seen it with some really good receivers throughout their career where they go into a situation where it's not ideal, and then they go somewhere else and it works. And I'm interested to see what happens with Cooper because I don't want to say he's completely washed, right? But after what you saw last year, it's like, I don't know. So I'm interested to see where he goes. You mentioned Dobbins. That's another interesting one, because I think that he can assume, a decent workload if needed. So it just landing spot with these guys is really what matters. It's not about whether they still have a lot left in their tank or not. It's whether can they step into a situation where there's going to be opportunities, and then if so, can they succeed?
Yeah, Amari Cooper went from 70 to 1,006.
It was really
nothing.
Like it was really like
he went to the Bills and it was
nothing.
Milk carton.
Didn't he score? Let me pull this up. I think he scored in the first game with the Bills.
He was on a milk carton. He didn't even he was playing 25% of the snaps. He wasn't even on the field, and they announced there was a personal thing he was dealing with.
Yes, so he did score in his first game with the Bills. He had 5 targets, 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. I remember that week. That's why I said I think he scored his first game with the Bills. And you're like, all right, finally, it's going to be. And it was just bad from that moment on. It was those 5 targets were the second most he had as a Bill. Then he had 14 in week 14 against the Rams, right? But that was, but outside of that, it was 2, 3, 3, 0, 2, 3. He had more than 4 catches in only 1 game with Buffalo last year. It was bad.
On the surface, it seemed like a perfect fit. And it just goes to show you sometimes it doesn't work out like we think it will.
Yeah.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. All right, Armando, I don't know. Do you have a pack of cards? Do you have any left? Do you want to skip it today?
I do.
All right, let's do it.
I always have one hanging around.
Okay. All right. What do you got today?
All right, hold up. Let me remove this was not as big of a pack. So
that's okay.
So it won't. All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. We got right here. Topps Big Baseball.
Oh.
Yeah. So there we go. This pack looks like it's pretty sealed, but you never know with these things, right, Ray? You never know.
You know what year it is, Armando?
Yeah, sorry. Hold up. It is 1990.
Okay.
1990. We got 1990. We got this pack.
I love how you said that. It doesn't look like it's been opened before. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's so bad that people do that. Don't do that, folks. Be better.
Don't do that. The edges are nice.
Okay.
All right, so it says here we got a checklist, Ray. Checklist. Here's the 1 through 100 checklist.
Checklists are the worst, weren't they? Yeah. A lot of times you would get one a pack kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Just to
so disappointed with the checklist.
Yeah. All right, we got. Look, I know this player. Dave Magadan.
Dave Magadan, there you go. Yeah, it was a good player for the Mets, first baseman. I think he ended up being a hitting coach for a while too. What do you think about the design of the card? It's got a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. If you look at the back, it's like a comic card.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's the old school. What's it say there about Paul Magadan on the back? I can't read it.
All right. So it says here, Dave led Carolina League with 494 on base percentage in 1984.
Wow.
It says I'm getting on base right up there. See, it's pretty cool.
Is that what he says? 494 is pretty good. That's half the time. That
is pretty good.
That's worth noting. Yes. Really good.
All right, we got Danny Heap here from the Red Sox.
Yeah. See this for those people that don't have the video. Again, you can watch us youtube.com/@elite+network. You can also check us out at Fantasy Guru at Fantasy Guru site on Twitter X, and then facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. There's an action photo of the player. There's a headshot of the player. There's a logo shot of the player.
Comic there. Pow. It's Pow.
Pow. And then on the back, there's a comic and stats. There is a lot. This is a loaded set.
I appreciate this pack.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
So it says our boy Danny here set the Mets record with 4 pinch home runs in 1983.
All right. We don't have as much pitch hitting as we used to because obviously there's DHs now, but pinch hitting was a thing for a long time.
I remember this guy. I remember this guy. This guy used to be a good pitcher, Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart, really good pitcher. Yeah, he was with 20 wins multiple times with the Athletics, part of the World Series teams. He was part of the old Canseco, McGuire, Bash brothers teams and all that. Been involved with baseball since he became an agent. Stu, yeah, he was
1989 World Series MVP.
There you go. Yeah, that was the famous Earthquake series against the Giants. Yeah, he was a hell of a player.
Yeah.
Stewart, yes.
All right, we got Greg Briley here.
Don't remember Greg Briley. Greg Briley.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't remember you, Greg. Sorry about that, Greg.
It says that he led Calgary with 27 stolen bases in 1988. So there you go.
Greg Briley had 1,600 plate appearances at the big league level. Stole 23 bases one year. So, all right. There you go, Greg.
There you go. Jeff Russell. We got a stash here.
Yeah, Jeff Russell's the stash. We can't have a pack of 90s cards without the stash. That seemingly was a thing. Every time we opened it up every week, Armando, we've always said, what kind of stash is this guy? You always say the type of stash. What job does he have?
I think he works at the, at the meat department in the local market. That's what it is. A butcher. There you go. He's a butcher. I could see him coming out with the little hat, the white gown.
Like me to take a little bit more fat off that, ma'am? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, the fun fact here that we got back here is he led the American League with 38 saves in 1989. There you go.
Had a couple good years.
Look, I like the haircut here, and I like the name. All right, Rick Honeycutt. I mean, look at that hair, Ray.
Yeah, Rick Honeycutt pitched. I want to say he pitched for 15 years, long time. Was on a bunch of teams. Has a great haircut. He kind of looks like his haircut looks like the Wild Thing from Major League.
Yeah, there you go. Right? Great, right? Yes, great comparison.
Geez, I totally wrong. He pitched 21 years. He was around forever. 8 years with the Oakland team was his longest run. Oakland, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Mariners, the Cardinals, and the Yankees. He was everywhere. Nice hair.
Yeah, there you go. The fun fact with him is he played quarterback in high school football. That's the fun fact we got on our guy Honeycutt here.
Well, that's not surprising that a pitcher would play quarterback, right?
Yeah.
See that?
All right, last one here. Eddie Murray.
Oh, well, there you go.
There
Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer. Yeah. Eddie Murray, one of the greatest, what am I trying to say, switch hitters of all time, and a consistent player. Never, I think it was one of those things like at the end of his career, it's like, oh, damn. And it's like when he was there, he was always really good, but I don't think he was ever looked at necessarily as the best. He, played with Cal Ripken all the time and that kind of thing. I'm looking at his track record here. Like he led the league in home runs and RBIs once, and it was 1981 during the strike. So that wasn't even a full season. He led the league in on-base percentage once in 1984, but it was just 20 home runs and 80 RBIs every year, year after year after year. And in the end, he had over 3,000 hits. Hell of a career. He made the Hall of Fame. There you go.
And I don't know if this currently stands, Ray. Maybe you could, you know the answer to this, but as of this card, all right, 1990, all right? Yeah. I feel like 1990, when I say 1990, I feel like 15, 20 years ago. That's how old I am. Yeah. But it's 35 years now.
Yeah.
So as of this card, he led all active players with 15 grand slams. Has that record been broken already?
I think the record, I want to say, is 22.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Let's see. But those active players. Let's see. All-time grand slams. But not baseball. I'm pulling up tennis when I do the search.
Oh.
Okay. 25 is the record, actually.
Okay.
Alex
so this
Rodriguez,
is no longer standing, ladies and gentlemen.
Alex Rodriguez had 25, but Eddie Murray is fourth all-time with 19. So he hit 4 more after the card was created there.
Look at that. Look at that. That's cool. See, that's why Google's great. All right? That's what.
And according to Baseball Reference as well, I don't know if this is accurate. I'm assuming it is. Baseball Reference, great website. Most sacrificed flies in baseball history, Eddie Murray.
Oh, there you go.
128 RBIs on the sac fly.
So. That's a good nugget right there.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good one.
That was a fun one. That was a fun one.
And I really like the pack itself. Like
I think I have another one like this. Maybe I'll have that one for next week. I think I have one more of these.
Okay. Right. I like that. That was good. Hopefully you like that, folks. We tend to do this every week with Armando. Not every week, but we try to hit. He always has some packs. We open them up here at the end. Lighthearted, fun, all that kind of stuff. So he's with us every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern time. We talk football and then usually open a pack. I don't think you normally open a pack with Justin, do you, on Wednesdays?
No. Just he has to ask me to bring on. Yeah, I'll bring on a pack if he wants me. I could get some hoops one. Listen, I buy all kind of cards here. I like them all. My kids love them, so I'm always buying packs.
Look for go to fantasyguru.com. Click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page for this show, as well as Armando's show, Mine or Marsal. That should be dropping right now. He's now doing 2 a week. So start checking that out. He's going to have Tyler Beaker on the one today. You said it should be up, right?
Yeah, that one should be up. As soon as I get off here, I'll start working on it. So in the next couple of hours, it'll be up. I'll tweet it out. I'll post it in Discord, all that stuff, all that good stuff. So, yeah, it should be up and you should be ready here. AFC East. We talk about every team there. See who we prefer between Drake May, Tua Tagovailoa, and Justin Fields. I don't know. We rank off all quarterbacks in the AFC East. I think the obvious is we all know the number one in that.
Justin Fields, of course. Right. Armando joins every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern. He's with Justin Fensterman. Wednesdays at 12:30 Eastern. So he'll be back in tomorrow with him. You can catch again his work over at FG, his rankings for rookies, his podcast. Go to fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, or send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Armando, thanks for your time today. We'll talk to you next week, and have a good time at the baseball game tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on. Good luck to everyone, or have a great day, everyone. Not good luck. If you're playing basketball, good luck as well. Yeah, exactly. A little bit of everything.
For Armando, Marsal, I'm Ray Flowers. You've been watching Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Have a great Tuesday. Stay tuned here for Wednesday's show with he and Justin Fensterman, and catch his podcast over at FantasyGuru.com. For Armando, I'm Ray. Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG. Take care.